So we're going to work on this. This is a... Oh my god, get up position, kind of. Let's put it in the way. Oh, whatever. This is the Marshall 6100, so before we get to working out this, sort of hear the symptoms. So there's that crackling, which actually goes away after it's been on for a while. The other complaint about it, yeah, that distortion. So, although it sounds kind of nice sometimes, there's all that distortion present in the clean, so that's probably not right. So we are on that crackling, sizzling, whatever, when you take it on and off standby. So we're going to get in there and see what's going on. Full disclosure, I've actually already been in there and I've seen what's going on and I've ordered some parts. I should show you. Okay, so here's what it looks like inside the back of the 6100. So yeah, we got plenty of valves or tubes. Well, I'm going to call them bottles. You may call them tubes. I may call them valves. I don't call them bottles. Piss everyone off. So yeah, there's 6, 7, 11 of them in here in total. So there's another one nestled behind the power valves. Oh, there goes one of the shielding cans. Okay. So, we better wait for them to cool down a bit before we pull them out, so we ran the amp for a little bit. But yeah, if you were going to take all these out and you wanted to put the amp back together and have it sound the same as it did before you took it apart, you would number them all, like typically from left to right, number all the pre's left to right, and then number the powers left to right. But we don't really care about that because it sounds like crap at the moment. So we can let it cool down, pull all these out, doesn't matter what order we put them back in, who cares. One thing is, this is kind of like a blend between new school and old school Marshall construction. So you got a really big iron and millions of features and push buttons and things. So you've got tons of features, like it's a JVM or something. But yeah, I don't know, I'm waffling now. Yeah, so even though this amp's really old, it comes from 1992, I like all the features on it. I mean, it was not surpassed in terms of features until, well, maybe it was never surpassed in terms of features, like, you know, MIDI control for, like, what the hell, I don't know. What do you even control with MIDI on it? But it's got MIDI control. It's got a pretty mad foot switch, which is around. I do have that. All this crap. Triode and pentode mode for the valves. I suppose triode would give you less output, maybe it sound a bit different. Damping select. Fuck knows, man. Power reduction. I don't know what low gives you. Basically, I don't use any of this shit. I have that damping select set in auto because you can't have it off. I would have it off if I could, but I don't. I would turn that setting off. That's a joke that maybe UK viewers, or a misspeak that maybe UK viewers would find amusing. I would have it off if I could. I would turn it off if I could. The effects, trims, I've turned that stuff all the way down. All this stuff is turned off. This is quite good. You may accidentally press this switch, which actually mutes the power amp. With hilarious consequences. So if we look around the front. It's difficult to lift because all the iron is on one side. Yeah, so on the front you've got master output with low output compensate. That like the gives it some sort of strange EQ boost. It's weird. So the volume level can be low, but it makes it sound bigger. But yeah, I just don't have that turned off. Something about storing presets. I don't know what all that's about. That's probably something to do with MIDI, I suppose. But yeah. Contour, that's annoying. That's like the deep switch or something on a DSL. Gain boost, you certainly don't need to go near that. This thing's got millions of gain. Modes, crunch. So it's like crunch. Well, it's like crunch, extra crunch, mega crunch. So you've got like 4 combinations you can have here. A bit weird. And then the clean channel's got some stupid stuff too. Mid shift, bright. Bright is quite good if you're playing like disco stuff or whatever, disco chords. And yeah, there's compensation. I don't know, maybe if you have an accident while you're using it, you can decide whether you want to be greedy or not. God knows. And yeah, input. Just one of them. Lots of bells and whistles, lots of buttons to fiddle with and get confused. And I don't use any of it. I use the 3 channels. The great thing about the 3 channels is you have fully independent EQ on each of the channels. Crap thing about it is it doesn't have any reverb. Amp doesn't have any reverb. Spring reverb in it, and it would have been a trib on. But there you go. So I'll take it apart and see if we can make it better. Just before we move on, look how filthy that valve base is. A torch. Yeah, shine a torch into it. Ew. Yucko. The preamp ones look okay. Unlike you, I can see into them a little bit. But yeah, clean all that shit. Okay, so we got it on the bench. Now we'll have a quick tour of the guts. So yeah, here we go. All the control stuff. So we've got actual pots on this one, as opposed to those plastic things. So another bit of a transition between old and new Marshall. And we've got PCB mounted preamp valves, or preamp valve sockets, but they've held up okay, there's no like heat damage or anything. And then we've got chassis mounted power valve sockets. So we're going to get in here now with a couple of wires, a big resistor, and we're going to discharge across all the pins on all these valves, so we can work on this board with a little more safety. We're still going to be careful, but that's what we're going to do. Just figuring out where all the nuts are. See one there, don't see one here. Don't know if that means the board isn't secured at this end. I don't know. I hope there's not a nut next to that tube socket, valve socket. God damn it! Bloody Americans infected me. Okay, so right, let's get to it. Get the get these caps discharged. Okay, so what I have here is a nice high value resistor, so 10k resistor, and I think it's rated at like 50 watts or something. It's pretty beefy. So we just bridge ourselves across that, put it somewhere, and then we just clip one end to ground and short things to ground. So I'm shorting across all the fuses as well. Better paranoid than dead. Alright, cool. So just a reminder, this one's 10k, and I think it was rated at 50 watts. Also got this one, but it's only 4 ohm. But it's really big. I think that's what attracted me to this one. It's a big case. But yeah, and high power ratings. But it's not very high resistance. So it'll probably work, but it would take longer. I've never had any problems with this one. Okay, so next I'm going to undo everything that's holding that board in. So that's all the jack socket nuts on the back, and these screws and bolts here. And then I'll discharge these caps from the other side. I'll have to take some photographs of the wiring as well. Make sure everything goes back in the right places. There's quite a lot. Yeah, annoying. Oh, I should show you why I'm looking at this board. Okay. So on physical examination of this amplifier, I spotted this cap, which you might just be able to see there. It's bulged. So, it's just starting to bulge. That one's healthy. And these, one of them has a crack in the top, that one. I don't really know how that could have happened, but there you go. That's got a crack in the top. So I'm wondering if these caps are where the distortion is coming from. We'll find out. We'll replace that one. Maybe that one, I don't know. We'll think about that. We'll certainly replace this one, and we'll replace all 4 of these. Yeah. Yeah, fuck it. We'll replace a lot. We'll replace that one as well. And yeah, we'll sling it back together and see what we got. Oh, I see the other bolts there. Oh wow, that's going to be tough to get onto. That capacitor's right in the way. Cool. Wish me luck. I'll just give you a quick insight into how I zap the really hard to pull wires. So like there are these all buried in here. So I've done most of them, but I've just left the last one to last. So I've got these forceps. So what I'm able to do with these is set them using this ratchet mechanism at the back. I don't know if you can see these teeth here. And then you can just force it apart. So you can basically clamp them onto things. So I'm going to clamp them onto the insulation on this wire, get some tension on there, and then I can pull up, there we go, and pop a wire. So it's like this. Get yourself on the insulation, get yourself ratcheted on, there you go. Oh yeah, and this is how much hot glue we pulled out of it. So we cut it away with a scalpel. Okay, so I'm going to undo all the screws that hold the board in. I've got this nut driver, but I've insulated the top of it because it's got a female quarter drive where you can stick a ratchet or something in the top. Obviously I don't want to get fried. So although you saw me using those forceps, without gloves on or anything, so they weren't insulated. The wires I was pulling were insulated, so I was not going to get a shock. I mean, I've discharged all the caps anyway, but you know, you can never be too safe. So I'll just show you how I'm doing this. So these screws, nuts and bolts, putting the valve sockets in, they are screwed from the top, and nutted on the bottom. So screwed up a bit on the ratchet, you know, the nut driver on the top. So there you go. As you see, I'm working right next to a resistor there with a bare metal piece of tool. So hence insulating the top of it. But anyway, yeah, you get the idea of that. Okay, this amp is an absolute bastard to work on. So I flip the board over, because I can't remove it, because there are transformer wires and they are directly soldered to the board. So what I'm going to have to do, in order to get best access I can, is just leave the board in the amp, which is a bit annoying. And the next thing that's an issue is, in order to get at this capacitor, which is an object of interest, we have to get off, desolder it, and the solder pads for it are underneath this plate. So we have to remove this plate, and that is all these little fiddly valve retainer hooks and little teeny weeny brass screws from the other side. And well, it's going to be an exciting game putting this lot back together, that's all I can say. But anyway, crack on. Okay, so we're finally ready to work on a board. We'll spare you the boredom of that. So the old caps are out. Unfortunately, I had to cut all the leads. They look like the snap-ins, which I always avoid using. Yeah, they look like they were snap-ins with the leads bent over. But anyway, new caps are all in. They're all Nichicons, I think I managed to get. It was actually quite difficult to get ones this large, because modern caps are tending to be miniaturized. So I had to shop around to get these. I got them from Mouser. They're all in, so these are all long at the minute, ready to be soldered. So I'll get them soldered up, put all this stuff back together. That's going to be such a pain in the ass. And then reassemble it, and we'll see what we got. Not forgetting to clean these valve sockets, of course, before I get too far with reassembly. So right now is the ideal opportunity. I've got great access to them. Alright, so we've got the thing hooked up. It's out of its cabinet, because, or its sleeve or whatever, or box, because I want to ensure it works before I put it in there. But yeah, moment of truth. Oh yeah! Awesome, we fixed it. I mean, it's still a Marshall, so. So the cleaner's a little dirt in it, but you know. I realised I was on the middle pickup, whereas when I tested the amp prior to rebuilding it, I was on the neck pickup. It actually sounds way better on the neck pickup than it does on the middle. Cool. Right, and then now the Marshall channel. I think we can call that a win. Cool. Thanks for following along. Hope it was useful or whatever. Cheers. Here's a quick bonus video. So I'm just refitting these valve retainers. They can be a real sod to work with if you've not worked with them before. So let me just show you what we've got here. So this is the piece that tube retainer, valve retainer hooks onto. There's a little spigot tab nub on the top, a little spigot tab or nub, choose your favourite terminology, on the bottom. What happens is when you're refitting your valve retainer, the spring, get it in like a shot, it's kind of open on one side, and what you do in order to refit it is slot the top of your gap over the top nub. Get around there. I'm going to do an assistant really. So find the gap at the top, slot him on there, and then just push the gap around the bottom. Did you hear him click? And this one's come off while we've been messing around, so we'll get an opportunity to do that again. So find the gap, there's the gap, stick the gap down over the tab, and then just push the bottom round, and it'll click. There you go. Yes, there you go, there it is, all back together. Yippee!